Omaha is one of the best films to come out of Sundance this year. It comes from first-time director Cole Webley, who is a longtime attendee of the Sundance Film Festival. He's from Utah, and this project was actually born as a result of Sundance. Essentially, he watched the film The Killing of Two Lovers, which was written and directed by Robert Machoian, and reached out to him, found him, and more or less over the course of a couple of years, convinced him that he would be a good guy to trust with a script. The film is set against the backdrop of the 2008 financial crisis. This is never made super explicit, but it's something that Webley and Machoian have spoken about and kind of contributes to the context of the film. Basically, we follow a single father with his two children as they go on what seems to be a very quickly decided road trip from Utah to Omaha, Nebraska. The kids don't know what's going on. They think maybe they're going on a vacation, and then slowly we, as the viewers alongside these children, start to understand that there's something more that's happening, something that's pretty heartbreaking. The film stars John Magaro, and he is wonderful here. He gives one of my favorite performances of the festival, and he was actually awarded fourth place in the IndieWire critic voting for best performance of the festival. And I was so fortunate to be able to contribute to that critic vote. And Omaha as a film also finished fourth in the festival. For me personally, I am drawn to some of the darker pictures, and Omaha hooked me from the very beginning. The opening shots are pretty dark and drab. We are given just glimpses into part of a kitchen. We see an old chair. We see a child's feet before he's dragged out of bed. And the color palette here is very muted. There are a lot of blues and some greens, but the oranges are quite suppressed and desaturated. And Cole Webley kind of spoke about this in tandem with his DP Paul Myers about being inspired by photographs of rural American highways, this sort of desolation. And Myers even said that they wanted to craft something almost ugly. And they were effective, certainly, in kind of capturing this feeling, but there's some beauty hidden underneath the ugliness. There are some gorgeous shots. My favorite of the film, again, a simple one, is probably when the two children, the daughter and the son, are just playing in front of the headlights of the vehicle. It's a very gorgeous shot. And then, of course, it becomes even more impactful when we see John Magaro's character. And the film really is about Magaro and his relationship to these two children. There are not, for the most part, these super dramatic twists and turns. There's one, definitely, but the most part of the film is just this little family in their vehicle driving across states. There are some great moments within the family. One with the daughter helping the father give their car a push start, which becomes kind of a recurring visual that we come back to throughout the film. We have some hilarious moments between the two children, showing that kind of childhood innocence and childhood joy, although the daughter, being a little bit older, is the one to start to clue in to things maybe being a little bit different than they initially thought. And that's where we really get this sort of emotional devastation. She starts blaming herself for the state of the family. And while you can definitely see that she's acting at times, a lot of weight is placed on her because there's really only three characters, and the son is mostly there for comedic relief and to again show that kind of childhood innocence. It was actually quite funny in the Q&A after the film. They were talking about improv, and the young boy didn't know what improv was, but he knew once it was explained to him that he did a lot of it. Some of the jokes that made it into the film were just made up by this little kid on the spot. A lot of poop jokes, but they are pretty good. Again, though, a bit of a broken record. This really is John Magaro's film. He shows so much depth in his emotional journey and reveals little by little the pain that he's experiencing. And while I can't go into details, it puts the audience in an interesting position because we might not agree with the things that he has done or is doing, but we can't help but empathize with him as a human. And this film is based on true stories. It's kind of an amalgamation of different things that have happened around this time period, and it definitely hits you with an emotional wallop if you're willing to sit with it. It's quite slight, it's a bit slow, there's not tremendous action, and some folks perhaps might be disappointed, might think that it's underwhelming. It does run only a bit over 80 minutes, but I think that there is a lot there if you're willing to see it. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Those things are really sweet, really helpful. I appreciate it a ton. Thank you so much. Watch the next one too.